Hello and welcome to Birth as We Know It. I am your podcast host, Kiona Nessenbaum. I have experienced birth as a doula, a student midwife, and as a mother of 3 amazing children with my husband and high school sweetheart by my side. After attending over 130 births, including my own, I've realized that each birth experience is truly unique. So make sure you subscribe and join me every week as we are guided through many different birth experiences through the lens of the storyteller. Please be aware that some of the stories can be triggering to hear, so feel free to pause, take a breath, and come back and listen whenever you're ready. With that said, let's prep ourselves to dive deep and get detailed about what really happens in the birth space. As a reminder, this podcast is intended for educational purposes only and has no intention of giving or replacing any medical advice. All advice that is given on the podcast is from the personal experiences of the storytellers. All medical or health-related questions should be directed to your licensed provider. Before we dive deep into this episode, I want to personally invite you to become part of the Baki community on Patreon. For just $3 a month, you will get a special shout out at the beginning of an episode, and you will be directly supporting the production of the Birth as We Know It podcast and showing that you support education through storytelling of birth stories. All right, let's dive into the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Birth as We Know It podcast. Today, I am super excited to be interviewing Mero Didi, Sujana Gurung. Hello and welcome. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Kiana, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to share my birth story in your podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited that you were open to sharing because, of course, I knew that you had a baby and we chatted during your pregnancy about what doula work would look like and stuff. So I'm excited to hear the aftermath.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start off by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and who's in your family.
Okay. Telling about myself these days, first of all, I am a mom of 1-year-old boy. His name is
Mhm.
Sujai. He have bring a lot of joy and happiness to our life that I have never expected. And a wife and a daughter and self-employed, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And then you also have your wonderful husband.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 That's great. And so let's just go ahead and start talking about the moment that you found out you were pregnant or what your conception journey was like. Like, was it super easy for you to get pregnant? Did it take a while?
About our conception, we decided to have baby late. Like I would say late because we have him after my 35th birthday. So
Mm.
it was not very hard for us to conceive. I think I would say we tried for about 3-4 months, and then we just found out we were pregnant, and we were so happy. And we were like ready for everything, and we expected to have a baby, become a pregnant, start a family. So it was another joyful moment that started right after we knew that we were like pregnant, positive.
That's awesome. I
Mhm.
can only imagine like just having that moment of positive excitement, like when
Mhm.
you knew, like it was a surprise, but then not a surprise
Uh-huh.
because you guys were trying and
Yeah.
then you're like, yay, it happened.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we dive into your birth and your pregnancy, was this your first experience being around birth at all, or did you get a chance to attend a birth prior?
I mean, when I was very young, I was at um, my my country, Nepal. My mom used to help deliver babies there in Nepal, and I was very little. Some of our neighbor had a baby, and I was very young and curious to see how babies are given birth. Although for kids it was not allowed to see how it's given birth.
Mm.
So I would say I didn't actually see it giving birth by somebody else, like in front of me, but I have seen many times in TVs, movies, and videos,
Right. Yeah.
videos,
Yeah.
and myself, yeah. And other than that, not exact, like real vision. Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah. I think that's super awesome. I didn't know that your mom helped like support people have babies back in Nepal. I think
Yeah,
that's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It was long time.
Yeah.
I was very little. I still remember. She used to,
Hmm.
help giving birth. She had a training. Now I think it was like a doula that, she goes to the place, whoever is pregnant and they need help, and she goes help with them giving the birth, like in whole process.
Mm.
So
Oh, okay. So she was like the midwife,
yeah, midwife,
like
midwife.
the provider.
Yes, yes. She had the training and everything. Yeah.
That's so cool. So what did your mom think when she found out that you were pregnant? Did she want to like be there in the room when you had your baby?
My mom was very happy since we were right after we had baby. I mean, I got pregnant right after COVID. There were still emergencies going on, so we were not allowed to have more people in our room or birthplace or hospital or anywhere. So she didn't get a chance to go and see it, but we didn't talk about it, but maybe she would have loved to see me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though. Just like hits a little place in her heart, like, oh, my daughter's having a baby now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, when it comes to your pregnancy with Sujay, did you have any really intense symptoms, or how was your first trimester? Did you have a lot of nausea or anything like that?
I got lucky. My doctor said that, oh, you are the lucky one because um, I didn't have any kind of symptoms, bad symptoms, and I had no nausea, no vomiting, um, nothing. But as general people has, I had the low appetite and then low energy level. And I don't know why I felt like a nasal congestion and cold, like sore throat and
Mm,
cold. And that lasted for about more than 3 weeks or more. And it was severe. And I couldn't take any medications. So when I talked with my doctor, they were like, this is another pregnancy related symptom, so you can just wait and see until your second trimester. So that was something that bothered me, but other than that, I had a very smooth first trimester.
that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is such an interesting
Uh-huh.
pregnancy symptom because
Yeah.
I feel like that symptom isn't talked about as much as like vomiting or nausea
Mm-hmm.
because being nasally congested,
Mm-hmm.
like having nasal congestion and having like a little bit of a sore throat, it's because your immune system is compromised when you're
Mm-hmm.
pregnant. So it's trying to figure out the balance of what's
Yeah.
to fight off and what's not.
And I was looking at the symptoms, and I would rarely see those kind of symptom on, internet or somewhere. Most of the symptoms were nausea, vomiting, and all those things, and mine were different.
Hmm.
Different.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it
Mm.
was good to get that reassurance from your doctor
Mm-hmm.
to say these are just pregnancy symptoms. It's
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I
Yeah,
was worried, so.
yeah. So when you were in your third trimester, when you were getting closer to your due date, were
Mm-hmm.
you getting super excited or were you a little bit nervous? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what was your plan going into the birth?
First thing, my first trimester was like that. And as soon as we came to second trimester, I had ultrasound done and everything, and they found out that I had a placenta previa, and again there was a vessel going, vessel running around my uterus close to the cervix, and they call it vasa previa. So it was like for my second trimester, physically I was fine, but mentally I was very stressed because I knew that I had a placenta previa and vasa previa. I researched. My doctor said that this is a rare condition, especially vasa previa is a rare condition, placenta previa usually it's not that. I mean, it's kind of common kind of thing, but the vasa previa is kind of rare. So I was worried. They even told me that I might have to go admit to the hospital before my delivery, like around my 32nd week, and might have to deliver my baby before the 36th week, have to stay in a hospital for like 4 or 5 week and be in a bed rest and all those things. So my second trimester was more like stressful for me,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about worrying about the vasa previa thing, because it could burst anytime and it could lead me and my baby in danger in any time. So the first trimester, second trimester was stressful for me. But when we had our ultrasound on 32nd week, it got resolved. Like before, in the second trimester, we talked a lot about the vasa previa and the solutions and how I'm going to give a birth, because there was no option than having a C-section, because with my condition, with the symptom, with the vasa previa, I was not able to deliver naturally. I have to go through C-section and everything. So my doctor and I and my whole family, we were all prepared for the C-section. I didn't even think much about giving like a natural birth. It was so into my mind that we have to do C-section. I was getting prepared for C-section, watched videos for C-section and everything. And later in my like second, third trimester, beginning of mid of third trimester, when they did another ultrasound, they found out the placenta previa and vasa previa were resolved. I was happy in one way, like we were happy that it got resolved, but at the same time, we were still worried. What if it's not resolved? What if still there is something around, and the machine or the doctors couldn't see it? Sometimes it's inside your body. It's it's difficult. So, and since it's our first baby, we were like, okay, it resolved, but I don't think it's resolved, because we have we
Mm-hmm.
have been told that many months about the consequences, and then the situation that I'm having and what's going on, what I have to do, and I was almost all prepared for what I should do. With that answer, we didn't feel safe or happy, but not like, okay, is it truly resolved? We were not trusting, because it's our first baby.
Right.
So that's how it went on my second trimester. And in the third trimester, since we had all that thing going on, I was getting bigger, stomach was getting bigger, was hard to breathe, fits were swelling. Since it was my first time, I was very scared and nervous at the same time, because of my condition, and also it's my first time giving birth, or having a baby.
Right.
So yes, I was nervous, but in deep inside my heart, there was something that's like, I will be all right, and after baby it's going to be different, very nice, and like, I would say mixed feeling, plus
Right.
and
Yeah.
minus. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's how I felt.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a scary thing to hear. The vasal previa and the
Mm-hmm,
placenta previa, like both of those things can be very dangerous.
mm-hmm,
And so I'm assuming after, or I should say, both of those things are very dangerous
mm,
because they are.
yeah,
So, but that makes me assume that they also put you on pelvic rest for the remainder
yes,
of your
yes,
pregnancy.
yes, all time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when they said that it was resolved,
Mm.
how far away did they say it was from your cervix? Do you remember?
It was so it has to be 2 centimeter or something. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
they said 3 to 4. It's not very far, but like
Mm-hmm.
in between 3 to 5, somewhere around there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is, as a birth provider, hearing that number, it is a very reassuring number because it's not like 2.5 centimeters, like it's not just too close to the minimum. So I think that that's good. So as you got closer to giving birth, did you end up still deciding to go forward with a C-section, or were you more okay with the idea of a vaginal birth?
With my condition, what happened is like I was told that I won't be able to have a vaginal birth from the beginning, like from the second trimester of my pregnancy, like whole
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy. So I was so prepared with, okay, that C-section is okay for me. That's something that's safer for me, for my baby. And I was like fully into C-section. So I didn't dig much about, vaginal birth. Some people wants to try or give birth via vaginal like birth, but with me, with my condition, I was not prepared, not ready. So I didn't think much about, like, oh, I should go vaginal either way or something, because I
Mm-hmm.
was more worried about my age, my body, my it's gonna be my first baby, and we didn't want to take any chances. That's why
Right.
our doctor said you go C-section. We were so prepared with like, okay, C-section and done. And later on, even though we found out that I can have vaginal birth, since we were so prepared for C-section, I was like, no, I don't want to take a chance. I just want to go with the C-section. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward that, okay, I want to do this and this, and that's it.
Yeah. And that makes total sense because having that little bit of fear in the background from the beginning and then being prepared all the way through for a C-section, and then you're like, yeah, I think I still just want to do the C-section because that's what you guys were prepared and ready for, which is amazing. And I think it's awesome that your providers did give you the option,
Yeah, yeah.
once the previas were resolved,
Mm-hmm.
but I also think it's great that you continue to make your informed decision
Mm-hmm.
and say, let's just keep it with the C-section.
Yeah.
So did you end up scheduling a C-section
Yes.
later in your third trimester?
Mm-hmm. Since we wanted to do the C-section, our provider were very accommodating. They were, very nice. I gave my birth at Swedish, at Edmonds. The facility, the system, the people, the doctors, everyone was very, very nice to us. Professionals, they didn't force us to do, something that we don't want to do it. So they gave a choice. We can have a scheduled C-section. So we picked out the date for the C-section and then we scheduled, but it but the baby wanted to come in a different day. So so
Mm,
he ended up coming earlier than we have scheduled. So my baby's C-section birth was scheduled on August 3rd, but
hmm.
he wanted to come one day early, which was August 2nd.
Ah,
Yeah, I was at home having my breakfast, and I felt something was going down there, a little bit cramp, like fluid running. I was like, what's happening? And I didn't
hmm.
know right that moment my water broke. So and I
Mm,
called my provider. This thing happened, and they were like, "Okay, I think your water broke, so you should straight come to the hospital." So we went to the hospital. My hospital bags were, almost ready because the next day I was going to the hospital, and they said that my water broke. So it was scheduled, but it came earlier than scheduled day.
yeah.
Yeah.
So during that moment when your water broke and you started feeling a little bit of cramping,
Uh-huh.
were you kind of nervous about whether or not you would make it into the OR for a C-section since labor started?
Yeah, my water broke in a different, I mean, since it was my first time experiencing, and I didn't know how I thought when a water breaks, it it breaks everything at once and then baby will come. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I was thinking. But
Mm-hmm.
in my case, what happened was my water broke, but I think it broke slowly or something. I didn't, not all the water came at once. So I was worried. I don't know where I'll be on time at the hospital or not. My husband took me to the hospital. We checked in. They said everything is fine and your water just broke. And we got admitted. Since I had eaten some breakfast in the morning, like 10 o'clock, they scheduled me my C-section in the evening at 6 o'clock because
Mm.
uh, with the food, they can't do the C-section right away. They can't do the operation right away. So I didn't know that I was going to have a labor, and doctor and other people, they didn't say anything about it. I thought I can wait until 6 o'clock. My body can wait.
Mm-hmm.
But I was at the hospital. They gave me IV and everything. And around 3 o'clock, like 2:30 or 3 o'clock, I felt all my stomach got empty, all the water broke down, like
Mm.
everything, like heavy water break. Right after that heavy water break, I felt a very bad cramping, very, very bad feeling, and that's that's what labor it was. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a very tough 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 hour of my life. So I got
Yeah.
so in this case, I feel lucky to experience how labor goes in women's body system, and how we feel after C-section or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got to experience the labor pain as well. It was 2 hour and it was very intense. And when I tell my mom that I had this and this and this, and she was like, "Oh my God, you had the massive contractions and labor. If you had waited around another 1 or 2 hour, you could have given vaginal birth easily." That's what she was telling.
Mm-hmm.
Because my labor was so intense. I When I hear with my friends and other about their labor experience, they would say it will come 1 minute, very hard, and then it's gonna go away for 5 minutes, and another 2 minute up, and then another 5 minutes rest. But with me, I didn't get a rest.
Mm.
It
Yeah,
was,
your body was just like
yeah, ready.
going.
Yeah, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
not. I mean, nothing like that happened to my body. It's just water broke, labor came in, and it continuously going. And that 2 hour of my life was horrible. Oh my God, I was telling my doctor, just take me to the operation room as soon as you can. And then they were so
Yeah.
rushing, and then yeah, that's how. And then they took me to the operation room, gave me the epidural. After that, everything was easy.
Yeah. Do you happen to know at all how dilated you were when they took you back?
No, because
No?
they didn't
Mm.
check any of my dilation or anything. They didn't check
Yeah,
anything.
because they knew that you didn't anticipate a vaginal birth. Yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't check my dilation, and I don't know. Maybe I should have known that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was just curious because like with you having that experience of labor and being able to have that trial of labor prior to your C-section,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's awesome that you did get to experience both sides.
Yes, yes.
And so I was curious like what the protocol would be for
If
them on the provider side
mm-hmm.
since you already had planned to have a C-section.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't check. I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so was your husband in the OR with you?
Yeah, he was with me all the time, very supportive. I think I squeezed, I scratched, I don't know whatever to him while I was in labor. He was like, "Oh my God,
Hmm.
you were in a very bad, shape, and
Yeah,
I didn't know what to do, and but I still trust the provider." So yeah, that's what he said, and he was there all the time.
that's awesome. So after your C-section, did you get to do skin to skin with Sujay
Yes, yes. So,
in the OR?
yeah. So I think I maybe it was about 5-10 minutes of me being in the operation theater. We just had a baby crying. I
Hmm.
just heard a baby crying. I was like, oh my God, his crying was so, um, I don't know how to explain. I feel different in my heart. And then they asked me if I wanted to do the skin to skin. And then I said yes. But they cleaned him up or something. He was pretty clean. Bring him to my chest, and I got to experience that moment, and I still remember. Very overwhelmed and happy.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine that first cry, hearing the first cry is always so amazing. Like your
Yeah.
heart just kind of warms up and you're
Uh-huh.
just like, oh, my baby.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, he's crying. It's so soothing. Like usually when baby cries, you're like, oh, why the baby is crying? It's annoying. But with your baby, when you see the first cry, when you hear the first cry, your heart just melt. It's not, um, you know, it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very different. And I think that's a good point to bring up is like a lot of people before they have their babies, they're like, ugh, why is that baby crying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on? And then as a parent, you're like, oh, come here. Like, let me help you. Like your
Yeah.
perspectives changes so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before and after, yes, it does. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so how long after the birth was it before your husband had a chance to hold him?
Right after, he was right behind me. The baby was with me, and right after, the baby was given to his father, and then they took the baby clean and everything, and yeah, not they didn't took too long. They just bring it with us at the same time. We had a family picture. Yeah,
Mm,
everything
that's
was
awesome.
inside the room. They didn't take our baby to any other room or anywhere else. It was there all the time. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so, how was your immediate postpartum for you? Like, once you started getting feeling again?
Right after I had my surgery, the whole night I was in a medication, anesthesia, or something, and I think I couldn't move my leg until tomorrow because I couldn't get up from the bed. I would say maybe around like 12 hours or something, that I
Mhm.
was completely in a bed
Mhm.
rest. I couldn't move my legs and all. Next day, around I had my baby around 5 in the evening, and tomorrow maybe 10 a.m. or something. They took my catheter, and then I was able to go to the restroom and move a little bit. So 12 hours maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a very normal amount
Mm-hmm.
of time to like be able to do the things
Mm-hmm.
after a
Mm-hmm.
C-section.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How was your postpartum recovery overall?
So the postpartum recovery with the C-section was not easy.
Mhm.
That's something that's the drawback of C-section, I guess. Was not easy. We have to be in a very hard drugs like oxycodone and all that, the brufenes, ibuprofens, and all. I
Mhm.
took almost for a month, and
Mm.
the scar and my stomach, everything was, it took a long time to heal.
Mhm.
And about the postpartum feelings, and people talk about depression and all those things. With me, maybe my husband was very supportive, helpful. He knew we we are old enough to handle all those stress, and we were ready
Mm-hmm.
about having a baby. We talked a lot about what's going to happen after the baby, before baby, and all. So he was all set. I was mentally set, prepared. So I didn't get to experience. I feel lucky that I didn't get to experience the postpartum depression and all that people talk a lot about it and have experienced a lot. I've heard many stories of my friends and all. In this case, I felt lucky because I have my mom in our family helping us, my dad and my husband, and there's only one baby, and the caretakers are like three or four people in the house. So
Right. Yeah.
it was helpful, and my recovery was smooth because of all those help. Because for about 2 weeks, I didn't even go downstairs to my kitchen or anywhere. I was always upstairs. My food was in my bed. It was very easy and easy recovery for me.
That's great. I love that. And
Hmm.
I love hearing that you did have your village at home with you,
Yeah, yeah,
your support network. Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Uh-huh.
that's so awesome.
Yeah, you remember
Yeah.
we talked about doula services and all,
Mm-hmm.
because we were worried that we might need a help, like professional help, that they know what to do after baby and before baby,
Mm-hmm.
or later after baby, especially
Mm-hmm.
because I was worried that what if my husband don't know how to take care, and if what if my mom, because we are from Nepal, we have a different background, different culture, different way of raising kids, babies, and here is different. So what if my mom couldn't you know keep up with my baby and all. So we talked about hiring a doula or finding somebody that can help, but things went so fast, or happened it in a way that we didn't need to hire or find doula at that time, because like my whole house and my friends, my friend circle, the from the day one of coming home at with the baby, they were always there for me, like whole my friend circle would come to my house, cheering me up, cheering with the baby. They were so happy and bringing me delicious food.
Mm-hmm.
I was pampered, and I could not thank enough to my family and my friends, whoever came and helped, and mentally, physically, physically they were here to support me, help me with my baby, and I didn't feel like, okay, I have to hire somebody else, because
Right.
if you are in a group of people who takes care of you, worry about you, then it gets easy.
Yeah, and I love that because
Hmm.
not everybody gets to have that much support postpartum.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm super happy to hear that you did.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to have that kind of circle, that kind of people. If you don't, you hire doula or have some help. You, baby, and your husband can't take that journey alone, because on your first month with your first baby, you know nothing about it, and you get overwhelmed,
Right.
and sometimes things goes very bad, very wrong with your relationship with your husband. So it's very important to have that support system.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%
Mm,
because it is very important and it changes a lot of
yes.
the foundation of your parenting
Mm-hmm.
journey. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're creating the foundation of what your parenting style
Mm-hmm.
or support system is going to be
Yeah,
right there in the beginning within that first month of life, first few months.
exactly. Yes, yes.
So, what was the path that you chose for feeding? Did you choose to formula feed or breastfeed or bottle feed? What was that like for you?
I decided to go with both because I didn't know I would produce enough milk for my baby. If I say only breast milk, maybe I won't be able to feed him formula. If I just say formula, um, maybe I might have enough milk for him. So I just told my doctor that I can go both breastfeeding and formula feeding. So that decision, I think, helped me a lot because for the first 3 4 days after my C-section, after C-section, I think not only me but everyone C-section, it's very hard to produce the milk because of the medication that you are taking. The medication are so strong that your whole body is numb, and I don't think it's working the way it should because
Mm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
unnatural. So your baby needs a formula at that time. If you do not have the formula, then he starves. He
Mm-hmm.
so in order to take care of him, we have to give him formula, and I think that's a good choice. So with my baby, I chose both formula and breastfeeding, and yeah, it and he was fine. We From the first day, nurse helped me to help me with the breastfeeding, but since I
Mm-hmm.
was in the medication, maybe I was not producing milk, and we had to feed him formula. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Did they give you any guidance on your breastfeeding journey when you were taking all of the heavy pain medications? Like, did they say pump and dump or anything like that?
So they didn't say anything about, like, okay, you are in a heavy drugs, so your body might not produce formula, so you do this and that. They didn't say anything about that. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe it would be nice, it would have been nicer if they would have said that, okay, some women's body is different, so when you have those kind of medication, you might not be able to produce milk for your baby, so you have to do this and that. But they didn't mention anything. What they did was like, okay, you have to force yourself, try to feed your baby as
Mm.
much as you can, just squeeze it, or use pump, and just jump in, dive in, which was crazy. It was not easy.
Mm-hmm.
I had the lactation consultation at the hospital as well, the second day. They were nice. They helped me how to, how baby should latch, and how I should have, held the baby. They were nice and helpful, but at the same time, it's different. When you produce milk and baby latches, it's different. And when you don't have
Mm-hmm.
milk and you try that little kid to, latch your breast, it won't work. It was a tough struggle for both baby and mom. It
Mm-hmm.
was hard. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is, like you said, that is very common with parents that choose or end up having a C-section, because your body is going through having all of those medications in your system. But in addition to that, I feel like your body takes a little bit more time to recognize that you gave birth,
Yeah.
because it didn't go through the labor process
Mm-hmm.
of getting the baby out in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it can definitely be very challenging to initiate that breastfeeding relationship after a cesarean.
Yeah. And from where I belong, in Nepal, in our culture, they say that if I drink a lot of soup, especially chicken soup, vegetable soup, all those
Mm-hmm.
fluid things, then I can produce milk easier,
Mm-hmm.
faster. And my mom and my friends, they made a lot of chicken soup and all those soup, and they just want me to drink that soup all the time. And then maybe after fourth day of having baby, I felt my breasts were tender and ready to,
Mm-hmm.
ready to pump. And but it was tender, but the milk won't come out.
Mm.
It was so hard, and my friends, they helped me. They helped me, like squeezing or massaging or put the breast pump and bring the milk out and all that. That was a struggle. I
Mm-hmm.
and finally we were able to get some milk for the baby, and slowly I started feeding my breast milk. And but still, I don't know, with maybe my body I was not able to produce enough milk for him. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I did like 60/40, maybe 60% of my milk and 40% we did the formula for about 7, 8 months. And after 8 months, my just milk finished. I don't have any, I didn't get
Mm-hmm.
any milk for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so around that time, it's also a really good natural weaning timeline,
Mm-hmm.
because that's, babies are eating solid foods by
Mm, yeah,
then.
yeah.
They can start having actual dairy
Mm,
milk, or there is still formula out there for toddlers or like infants, to go between that too. So yeah, your body was just naturally doing what it was supposed to do, and then you had the resources that you had and needed in order to fill the gap.
yeah, yeah. So after 8 months, yeah, 6 months we started solid, and since I could not produce enough milk, he was still on formula for about
Mm-hmm.
1 year, and now he can have like a regular milk dairy.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And I love, again, that your support network was just so strong
Hmm.
because, you know, some people don't even want their friends to touch their breasts or help them or anything. And you're like, hey, help me, teach me how to do this.
Yeah, I was like, because it was so tender and it was painful, I need help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
those friend circle I have been having around for a long time, so I feel easy
Mm-hmm.
to, easy and comfortable with them. That's why, yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
More like sisters
Yeah,
than just a
yeah.
friend. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I learn a lot about, taking care of baby, feeding baby, all those things from them, because they have kids and raise their kids, and I've been seeing them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of educational for me as well, for being a mom and parent
Mm-hmm.
for the first time, yeah, being around with my friend circle. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's awesome. And then
Mm-hmm.
so Sujay is one now,
Yeah,
right?
1 year and 1 month, so 13-month old.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so how close is his age to some of your friends' kids?
Uh, it's not so close.
Yeah.
My friends
Yeah.
friends kids are like 10, 13, like they are all
Mm.
grown up. As I was mentioning, we decided to have our baby later in our
Mhm.
age because we were busy establishing ourselves, our business, our, foundation. So I was,
Mhm.
from the beginning, I was more like setting up a plan. Let's do this and then this. So maybe that's
Right.
that's what made us wait this long. But
Mm.
his cousins, like first cousins, my sister is here. Her kids are 5 and 7, and my husband's cousins are here. Their kids are, you know, four, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are
Mhm.
around children a lot.
Yeah. That's awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
I know in Nepali culture there is the rice feeding
Mm-hmm.
ceremony. How was that? That's around
six
6 months for
months.
boys, right?
Yes, yes, right.
Yeah.
So from my husband's side, my husband is the youngest one, and his parents really wanted a baby from us.
Mhm.
So right after we had the baby, they were like, okay, for breastfeeding, you have to come to Nepal. We wanted to see the baby and we wanted to do the ritual over here.
Mm.
So we decided to go to Nepal when he was 4 months old. baby was 4 months old,
Mm-hmm.
and we stayed there for about 2.5 months. We had his breastfeeding back home in Nepal. We had a small ceremony at home, and then gave a little, party to the family members and friends of our parents. So it went really well. Everybody were happy, enjoying the moment. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
this baby was loved by so many, and he's also a very good baby. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we had a great time back home. Yeah.
That's
Uh-huh.
awesome. Yeah, and I think that's so awesome that your parents and family over in Nepal had a chance to see him as the baby too, you know?
Yeah, from
Yeah.
yeah, we tried to stay a little longer this time, so we stayed for about 2 months, and yeah, they
Hmm.
enjoyed, they love having him and us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, Didi, thank you so
Hmm.
much for sharing your story with me. I
Yeah.
think that is so beautiful.
Thank you, Kiana. It's our pleasure. I have been willing to share my story to the listeners or to whoever wants to listen, because this pregnancy story, baby raising story, is never old. Everyone has
Right.
their different stories, different sides, and mine was different.
Hmm.
I've never heard about vasa previa in my life, and I had that.
Hmm.
So I wanted to know people about this thing, and your podcast is the best way to share, I guess. In especially in
Mm.
our community, like Nepalese community, I'll be sharing our podcast, and then yeah, maybe people will know. And also, I have a YouTube channel, that I just put like post things about my family and my family life. And I think I have talked
Hmm.
about this thing as well, and about how I took care of my 3-month baby and what are the essentials you know, for 3 months to 6-month baby. So I have
Yeah.
few things over there. I just wanted to,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, I wanted to keep it as a reminder, like in future, for myself. And
Hmm.
also it could be educational to some of us who are looking to,
Right.
use things, or
Hmm.
uh, wants to be inspired or want to know how I do it. So yeah, I have.
Yeah. And it could be helpful because maybe what you do and
Mm-hmm.
how you do it could help and guide somebody else through the
Mm-hmm.
process of how raising or what to look for with 3 to 6 months and,
Mm-hmm.
very personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
but could be helpful and educational to others as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just have a couple of questions to close off the interview.
Mm-hmm.
The first question is, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a pregnant person as they prepare for labor and go throughout their pregnancy and birth?
Okay. So this was something that I always wanted to know from a women or pregnant women or who already had a baby. And what I wanted to tell them is like, it's not as scary as you think. Pregnancy is not
Mm,
scary, and you should not get very nervous, worried about your pregnancy and your body, and after pregnancy what happens. Just don't worry about it. You are in such a like, especially right now with the technologies and everything, you are in such a safe hand. When you deliver a baby
mm,
the way you wanted to deliver, C-section or vaginal or home or hospital, whatever, wherever you want to deliver your baby, you will be safe. Once you have a baby, your life will change, and it will be a very beautiful change that you have never expected, and you will love yourself, you love your life, you love your family more than you love right now. So for all the women's ladies who wanted to become a pregnant, have a family, just don't get scared, go for it. It's such a wonderful feeling that you will never regret. You will love it. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
No, yeah, that's great. I love that. And that's coming from a very personal place of experiencing it yourself, and being able to pass through that fear or worry or concern. Yeah.
Yeah, because I hear a lot. I used to hear a lot of friends. They used to worry about, and I used to worry about that too. Like, pregnant and have a baby. Oh my God, no, I can't do it. It's not my thing. I can't handle it. I
Hmm.
used to think that, but it's not like that. It's totally different. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Especially when you're the one going through it and then you're the one asking all the questions to your provider. You're the one making
Your decisions.
decisions and working with your, individual
All
circumstance. So I
right.
think that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, Another question I have is there any resource that you would like to share that you potentially use throughout your pregnancy that you'd want to share with the listeners at all?
Okay. So the resources right now, like especially at this age, these days, we have internet, and
Mm-hmm.
we have any questions answered that we wanted to ask. Like you are hosting a podcast. If you listen to those
Mm-hmm.
stories, you will know more about how to be prepared, what's going to happen, and what should you do. So those like
Mm-hmm.
internet, podcast, YouTube, Google, I think these are the best way to know more about it, and also
Mm-hmm.
reach out to your friend, your mom, your sisters who already have given birth or had a family,
Mm-hmm.
um, and reach out to them, go to their experience. Those are the best resources that you can get, I guess. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
there's a lot of resources out there at your fingertips.
Yeah, just go scroll it.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then the final question that I have for you is what is one word that you would choose to describe your pregnancy, labor, and birth experience?
Magical.
Nice.
Yeah, it is magical, and it's life changing, in a
Hmm.
good way, and you will become somebody that you have never thought of becoming, that and you will love somebody that you have never ever loved, more than yourself. So
Hmm.
yeah, I would say life changing and magical experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much, Sujana Didi. I really,
Mhm.
really appreciate you sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you, Kiana, and it's my pleasure to be in your podcast. And I hope my story will, give a lot of people an idea of what happens in pregnancy, and why they shouldn't worry, and after pregnancy, and also have a better circle in your life. Be prepared for your, next step. I hope they will, get more or less from my experience. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hoping that somebody learned something and that they could relate
Mm-hmm.
in a way
Yeah,
from your
yeah.
story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also I'd like to thank Sita Didi for,
Hmm.
letting me know that you are doing a great job, and I didn't know about it unless, she have mentioned it. And yeah, and thanks for choosing me. Thanks for asking me to share my story. And yeah, thanks to Sita Didi, you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And to the listeners, Sita Didi to uh, Mero Didi is
Uh-huh.
my mother-in-law. So
Uh-huh.
she got to share. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Well,
Mhm.
thank you. I had a lot of fun interviewing Mero Didi Sujana Gurung. It was very awesome to hear how confident she felt throughout her pregnancy and how confident she felt about making the decisions that were necessary for her and her family to stay safe. I also thought it was amazing that she had such a strong support network postpartum to help her with those breastfeeding and lactation challenges that she experienced postpartum. So, Didi, thank you so much for sharing your story. I truly appreciate it. If you're enjoying the podcast, I would love for you to leave a review wherever you're streaming this episode right now. Leaving a review brings This Birth As We Know It podcast to the eyes and attention of other listeners. That will make it to where it's possible for me to continue to share more birth stories and for other people to learn through birth stories. Next week, we are going to have a surprise guest because I have not yet had the chance to interview the person that is coming up for next week. I have 2 interviews that are coming on Sunday, and one of those interviews will be the episode for next week. So stay tuned to hear another juicy story.